Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Love Your Vibe podcast. I am your host, Sean Grant. So happy for you to be with me here today on this lovely February morning. And we're going to talk a little bit, actually a lot about rolling with life's cycles, or rolling with life cycles. And what I mean by that is you probably already know that life moves in seasons. Well, each of those seasons is linked to a cycle in each of our lives. So we're all connected to the earth, and the earth cycles itself and vibrates at different frequencies. And it's no different with how our lives, transpire and manifest themselves. And one of the greatest things that you can ever do is learning how to flow with the cycle that you're given. So there's a number. Basically, there's a few cycles that take place in your life, and they go like this. There's a cycle for growth, a cycle for harvest, a cycle for research, and a cycle for being still, okay? Stillness, if you want to call it. And so oftentimes when we tap in to whatever cycle our life is basically showing us, this is when we can experience the most fulfilled life. So let's say, for instance, you're in a cycle of harvest, and that means things are just flowing to your opportunity, work. You're getting extra money here and there. It seems like you've got more things than you can really account for, right? And all of that is coming into your life. That's a season of harvest. If you're unaware that you're in a season of harvest, you could miss out on potential opportunities. You could miss out on potentially fulfilling and really maxing out this cycle the best way you know how to. See, a lot of times, and especially people who become truly successful, they know that their lives work this way. So if they know that they're in a harvest, then they're really going to put it all on the table and really know that, okay, I have the opportunity because my flow is going to be greater than my ebb. And with that being said, I know that I can just really take calculated risks and really go out there and make things happen. Now, if you're in a season of research, right? Season of research is a matter of just becoming educated, and not necessarily educated in the traditional sense, but educated in the sense of understanding divine wisdom as it relates to your life. A lot of times you'll find that, you have to go through certain lessons in order to move to the next level. So what will happen? A lot of times loss is the catalyst for those lessons to be learned. I can't tell you how many times I've been thriving in my life, and then in order for me to move to the next level and learn that soul lesson that I need, everything will stop. Everything will stop coming in. Now, my needs will still be met, no doubt about that, but I won't be flourishing in a sense of having everything overflow. And there's a reason for that, because what happens is when you start to seemingly look like you're losing things on the outside, the first thing you do is turn inward. And that's why most people have to go through loss in order to grow spiritually, because we can't really turn anywhere outside ourselves when stuff like that happens. So that's our soul, our spirit, God telling us to turn in and figure out the answers we need in order to continue to progress. Okay? And from there, this kind of ties in to the growth cycle. And the growth cycle is kind of like the research cycle in the sense that you're going to experience something that's going to give you growth. And I mean, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it's truly painful. And then there's other times where it's just a matter of you becoming a bit of an apprentice, so to say, and just learning new skills, learning new things. But all things aside, you're in either one of those four cycles in your life right now. So the trick is for you is to understand, okay, what cycle am I in? Because if you know your cycle, you can be completely at peace, and you can understand that, okay, like, I don't have to push the buck here. And people don't ever fall into the trap of missing out on the blessing being given, because there's always blessings available to you. Like, most people think, well, it's got to be money. No, it's not always money. There's a season for you to make a lot of money, but spiritual manifestation may be available to you at this time, in a sense that it moves you to a bigger season of harvest, because you understand now what it is that you had to learn throughout these lessons that were being given to you. Okay? Kind of makes sense? Cool. Bear with me. So once we understand what kind of cycle we're in, we can just basically dive into it, right? We can dive into it and just be in a place of complete acceptance, complete allowance, and it makes our life so much easier, in the sense of, we know what's coming. We know we don't have to step out and do all these things if we're in a season of growth. So I can explain to you, I can remember when I first decided to start my own business. I was in a bit of a harvest season, because I had a lot of money saved up, and then I had some other resources coming in, and I was doing really well. And I started training, and literally, I think I had like 30 clients right off the bat. And I mean, it was flowing and overflow. And it lasted for about 3 months, which is, sounds about right as far as the season goes. Lasted about 3 months, and it was fantastic. And then right around when that 3-month period ended, I saw so many of my clients start to fall away. Not fall away, but just move on, And before I knew it, I was down to under 5 clients. And so part of me, the human side of you, wants to react in a way of saying like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? Let me call more people. Let me send more messages out. Let me, network more. And so all these things go to your mind, but then you stop. Say, okay, spiritually, where am I? What season am I in? Right? Because the thing is, and you may enter this space, I knew I had taken the time to get rid of all of my limiting beliefs, because I communed and I prayed and I meditated. And I really allowed God to change me, in a sense of not doing the same stuff that I did that would keep me from growing. So I know it wasn't anything that I was doing per se. And throughout this entire thing, no matter, it may have looked like struggle on the outside, but my needs were met, and they were met in the most unexpected ways, like receiving a check like right before my mortgage was due, or having somebody call at the last minute to give me business. And it was things like that. And it was just so amazing, because even though I wasn't flourishing, I was still able to be taken care of. I could still meet my needs, so to say. And so, I took that step back and I thought to myself, okay, where am I? What season am I in? And I realized I was in a season of growth. So for me, what that meant, it's not a time to basically bang on people's door to offer them business, because if you're not in that season of harvest, chances are people are not going to, there may be few, but it's not going to overflow the way that it would in a harvest season. During growth, it was my time to turn inward. So what happened was, I lost more than half of the people I was working with, because instead of me focusing on that, I had to come inward and see what the universe was trying to teach me. And so that lasted for a season. And it wasn't the easiest by any stretch. It was actually at times difficult, but the only time it was ever difficult was when I tried to act, right? When I tried to act, instead of being in a growth season, in a research season, I decided I was going to be in a harvest season. And it's like basically running headfirst into a wall over and over and over and over, trying to get through it, and there's no chance that you can get through this cinder block of cement, but still yet you just still try to power your way through. Doesn't work like that, right? Doesn't work like that. So you have to come to a place of knowing, and this is all a part of your spiritual development. You have to come to a place of knowing and understanding that this is how your life comes full circle. This is how your life opens itself up. This is how you learn to be happy at any point in time in your life without having to worry about anything else outside of you, right? It's because of these seasons. And what happens is most times after a season of growth, this is what happens that's so amazing. This is what kind of unfolds. After you have that season of growth, that season of harvest comes. And that season of harvest is when you start to see opportunities open up for you. And you don't have to be in a place to where you're resisting or to where you're chasing stuff down. Just let the process happen. Life comes back full circle, right? Life always comes back full circle in a sense of it will always give you numerous amounts of opportunities to be a success, but it wants you to be a success first from a soulful and from a spiritual level. And if you can understand that, you will never want for anything else. Okay, I'll say that again. Life wants you to be successful first from a soulful perspective, right? From a soulful perspective. And when you can really do that, when you can really understand that, what will happen is you'll be able to become successful from a material standpoint. But then it's great because it won't mean as much and you won't be as attached to it. And you'll find that that will drive out a lot of stress. Trouble is, a lot of people get caught up in feeling or believing and thinking that their worth is tied into their material items. And that's so not the case. You could be homeless and still feel like you're the wealthiest man in the country. You know, you can be down on your luck and still feel like you're thriving, because it's not all about what's outside of you that causes you to thrive. You know, it's about what's within, and your soul allowing you to connect to your body and also to your higher self. And when you can do that, as well as understanding and seeing what type of cycles you're in, I promise you, not only will you be a success, but you will be fulfilled. And even when it seems like people outside don't understand, because it happens, and I mean, it can get ugly at times because they often feel like you're not doing anything. They often feel like you're not, putting forth an effort. The only thing is, you understand what kind of season is taking place in your life. So what are you doing? You're embracing that season. And what will be interesting is when the time comes, you'll look like a complete success because you've waited for the right moment to take action. And this is all that matters in life, is just knowing when to trust intuitively, when to take action, and when to be still. We talked about a little bit about that season of stillness. That's when you just you stand still, you stand firm, you blossom where you're planted, you do what you need to do, and then ultimately you find that what you need and what you want will eventually make its way to you. It's not about you knocking down doors or anything like that, guys. So before I go, I'm going to close with this. Remember the seasons of your life. Figure out right now what type of season you're in. So there's stillness, there's growth, there's research, and there's harvest. Okay? One of those four seasons are what you're what you're going through right now. You're going through one of those four seasons right now. Observe what's happening in your life. Come to a conclusion to figure out, okay, where am I? What does my life reflect right now as I'm doing this? Right? What is my life showing me? I guess is the better question you have to ask yourself. And then once you figure it out, embrace it wholeheartedly. You embrace it wholeheartedly, we'll be talking about your success down the road. All right? So guys, with that being said, got some work to do, got to head out. But thank you so much for joining me on this awesome podcast. You are awesome individuals as well. If you're looking for more inspirational tools and stuff, go to my website at www.shawngrant.com, ShawnGrant, or my other website at uplifterentertainment.com, uplifterentertainment.com, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.